and my headphones have stopped working. So let me know if you can hear me. You should be okay. Let me double check. Full screen myself. One of those days, isn't it? One of those days already. Right, audio settings. I'm coming through okay through here, so hopefully you can all hear me. Hey, thanks for coming. So today we are going to be carrying on where we picked up last time. And that is with our little Laravel project to do some clean architecture, basically. So last time what we did was we started off really basic. We started off with a typical Laravel application with a model, with migrations, moving to controllers and that sort of thing. Oh, the music. Yeah, I'm actually listening to Bardcore. It's kind of entertaining to listen to in the background. Definitely going to have to listen to that if you want to laugh. So yeah, and we went through a couple of cycles of refactoring, and we're just going to carry on with that and introduce some more concepts at the same time. So to start with, we will open up Insomnia because that's what we were using last time. But what I would do in the meantime, I'll just do a quick composer update. And what we will do is move this over to our screen. So, and we can see it perfect. Let me zoom in a little bit more so it looks nice. There we go, that should look okay. So last time we did some of this stuff. So let me also grab this. We're just going to create a new one. Get all posts. And we're just going to quickly add there we go. So we got our stuff. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at some of these actions. We're going to move them into dispatchable jobs. So the first one we have, if we go to our controllers, is the store controller. So we moved that one. That one's fine. We'll come back and do authorize at a later date, I think. We'll do a whole authorization thing. Hey, Samuel. So next one up. Yeah, it's a lot nicer on the headphones. I don't know why it's just not working. I don't know. Let me go quickly check the audio settings and see if it picks it up. Is it picking it up? Is that better? There you go. There you go. That might be. Go. You know, if sound disappears, I'll try and get in the eye on it in the background. But we want to this as well. Echo, not what we want. What is going on? That be better. Go. If you're still getting it. So you can hear me twice. That isn't good. Okay. We will just have to put up with the slightly worse microphone for now. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't restarted my machine in a good few many days. Right, so I'll start this. Updating to the background job. So if we have a look, we've got a create post job. And what we want is we want another job. And this is going to be update post. It's going to be very similar to this one. So we're going to implement some real estate. And we're going to want all of our usual traits being pulled in. We're going to have our constructor. Then we're going to have our handle method. So the update controller, we're going to want to pass a couple of things. We're going to want to pass the post, not the entire post, and the data. So if I just remove that and that, we're going to comment that out for now. And what we want to do is update post dispatch to the post ID, and we're going to pass through I think maybe we should pass through that entire thing, that as itself there. That might work nicely, I think. Do that one. There. So what we're basically doing here, we're going to pass through the ID. We're going to pass through a DTO, basically, a value object. So on this job, we are going to accept an integer as the post ID, and we're going to accept the post value object as the object. Then all we've got to do in this handle method here is go find the post by ID, and post update, and we're just going to get this object to array, and that's it. That's literally all we should need to do here. It's really simple. Let me just close that out of the way so we can focus. And that's it. That's literally all we have to do. Is because we could pass the entire host through, but that would make no sense at all. And we could pass just the array of data, but that again also doesn't make much sense. So passing the model through, you're doing a lot of work with Laravel if you're serializing and unserializing the model on a queue. So you're better off passing the ID and just requerying it when it gets picked up. Realistically, I could do something like this. Just drop the root model binding for this. And instead, we could go for key, pass that through, and this would then be a string, be a key, and then we'll create a helper function on that, and we'll say this key. If we come down to our, this is where we start to look at that optimization aspect to it. So if we come to API v1 quickly, down here, for update, we're just going to pull a key through. We're not even going to try to match anything. So much quicker. You know, there's no root model binder, there's no querying until you get down to this part within here. Your controller is going to just accept a nice string key. It's going to pass it over to here, and away it goes. Yeah, but if you use a binding, so that's the one downside to it. So we'd have to query here, or just, we've accepted the request and we're accepting our API might not be 100%. Not, I wouldn't say accurate. I'd more say that we're accepting the fact that our API is maybe giving false positives on occasion. But when you're dealing with this scale, because this is a method you use when you're starting to scale your API, you're pushing more and more and pretty much everything to a background job as quick as you can, because you don't want the slow writes. Like, creating a new post, it doesn't take long, but sometimes those milliseconds can add up. So this is not perfect. I wonder, can we get anything through the rules, do you reckon? But then that's going to do a query anyway, which defeats the point. Maybe we will keep that to the post. Just for the sake of not making it too difficult. Okay. That's what we're doing now. So yeah, I mean, this would be the most accurate way to do it. But if you found that this was your bottleneck, updating posts, which it most likely isn't, it very well could be. Who knows? Then you'd have to make a compromise somewhere, and the first place to make a compromise would be on this root model binding, in my eyes. So that is that one updated, and the next one is going to be our delete controller. So if we just come over to here, and we're just deleting at this point, and we just accepted that again. So now we can just come down and we can just say delete post. We'll move that one over here again. We'll implement should queue. And what we're going to do is going to grab all of that for now. Let's just pull them back in. There we go. So to do this, all we need to do is post by this post ID, post delete. That's it. That's kind of all we need to do at that point. This is one of the really easy ones. So and you're quickly dispatching something and you're returning a response. And this is how you start to scale out your API, basically. Let me make sure we focus on the code for a bit. Here we go. So we're dispatching a job. We're returning as quickly as possible. Then we're returning a response. We're giving it some empty content and giving it a status. Strange. Cool. I've never really looked at that helper. So yeah, that's what I would do at this point. So let's just commit that. Moving controller logic to dispatchable jobs. Done. Right, so there's that. That's nice and easy. There's our API endpoint. We've only really got a few, and we aren't doing any proper authentication yet. I'm aware of that. We're probably going to cover that in a whole video on its own. So next, what can we look to do next? We want to improve some of this, don't we? Let's have a quick drink. So, one way I can think of, start looking at some event sourcing. So we could look at the Laravel Sparsees event sourcing. Let's switch to V5. Ooh, strange. Okay, so I mean we can quickly get this installed and set up. So this is a super simple library, and if you've not used it before, it makes event sourcing really, really helpful and easy to do. So all we're going to do is require the package, publish the migrations, migrate, then publish the config, which you don't always need, but I always like to publish the config just in case I need to tweak. And that's it. There's your config. So, step one, let's start some refactoring. So at the minute, we kind of split. We've got HTTP and jobs over here, and we've got, blogging, actions, factories, models, value objects, shared, models, concerns. Things are a little bit disjointed. So let's move some of this over to here. So it'll create and we're just going to refactor these, and we're going to move them to the domain. So refactor, we're going to move this class, domain blogging, jobs. Let's do it again. Something I did press enter a little bit too soon. Hey, Aidan. Come through and quickly select it. I don't know why this isn't syncing. Maybe I need to restart. Everything seems to be having a few issues at the minute. There we go, refactor that. Then delete post. We can refactor this one, and we can move this one over to domain logging jobs. Away you go, and then again with this one. Refactor. This is one of the main reasons I use PHP Storm. It just makes life so much easier for these sorts of actions. See, now I don't even need the jobs table. I don't need the jobs, just like I don't need models. It's nice and clean, nice and easy. I always keep my HTTP inside app, and there's a couple of reasons for that. So what I typically do, so for example, I've got the API here. Let's say I want to create like standard web routes, and then I'm also going to create an admin application. They can all be split really nicely into their controllers, and they just call things from the domain, and it's just splitting things up really nicely at that point. But next step, we want to look at event sourcing. So let's make sure we are all migrated. We're all migrated, aren't we? Yep, we are good. We are up to date. So what we're going to do is add all this. Git commit, adding event sourcing package, and moving jobs to domain. Simple simples. Right. So there's a couple of options here. So when we look at our application, what we're looking at here is what events do we want to be tracking? So we've got to think of this within a context. So the sorts of people who are going to use our platform, yeah, they are probably going to want to know when a new post is created. They might be subscribing or following that user. We might want to tag into certain actions, and we might want to just react to those. Event sourcing doesn't have to be just for tracking data in the background and tracking history. It can be for various things. You know, by storing every time a post is stored as an event, then you can start to figure out the best times people are posting, when people are posting, when you might need to start looking at auto scaling between certain times because that's when you're going to be busiest. Yeah, there's a lot of options there. So let's look at this. Let's go through the docs. So the first thing we want to do is, if you follow this kind of chronologically, you're going to get, towards the end, you're like, damn it, I wish I'd done this a different way. So I like to use aggregates. Now, there's a decision down here. There's something down here which is about projectors or aggregates or one of those. Make sure you read it if you're unsure. So using aggregates to make decisions based on the past, basically. Aggregates is what I like. So writing your first aggregate, let me zoom in. So all you got to do is php make. I'm going to ignore that because I am going to stick it in down here. So in blogging, we're going to create a new namespace called aggregates. And in there, we're going to create a post aggregate. This is domain, blogging, aggregates. And this needs to extend the aggregate root from the Sparsy package. So we can easily do that. Aggregate root. There we go. That is our first aggregate. And we're going to want to record events. So we will have to have some events within here. So let's add that. Here we go, there's some events. We probably want like reactors as well, reacting to events, and projectors as well. So let's just add a couple of more in here. So we'll add some projectors, and we're going to add reactors. So when we're recording events, we're listening to our aggregate. Will be listening to things like create account or add money, or in our case, create post, update post, delete post, or those sorts of events, or post published as an example. But we'll start off with like a create method. So let's focus in on this part. So when we go public function, I'm going to create a post. What we want this to do, this needs to take in some data. So our best bet at this point is to say, grab the object, the post value object, because that's holding all of our data. Why go through and create all of these sorts of things right now? But also we're going to grab the user ID. And we will be returning self. What we want to do is we want to say this, record that, this event, basically. So record that. This takes domain event as an option, I think. Yep. Domain event. And our domain event is going to be, this is where you want to think in the past tense. So money was added, money was subtracted, account was created. So this might sound actionable. So do this, create a post, add some money, subtract some money. But when we're talking about the events that we're storing, we want to call them in past tense. So we'll do something like post was created or post created. I kind of like the post was created. It makes sense for me. Yeah, we'll stick with that. Post was created, and we will pass through information to this one. And what we will pass through is we'll pass the object through as object, and then we are going to pass through the user ID as user ID. So we need to create this inside our events here. Create a class and put this in the domain blogging events. This is going to should be stored. It's going to extend the should be stored. And all we need to do is create the constructor for this one. So if you look at how sparsely recommend these, we'll look at projectors, reactors, preparing events. Is it in here maybe? There we go, should be stored. You basically, all you got to store is like you're storing the data that you want to store at this point, basically. So what we are doing is, it's got to be a public property. It's going to be a post value object, it's going to be an object. We're going to have a public integer as the user ID. Okay, that's hooked up to that. And it's that simple at this point. So let's test it. Let's test it. Let's go to our job, our create post. And this is where we're going to be doing it. Now, in our create post action, instead of doing it this way, we are going to say the post aggregate retrieve that's going to be our overall workflow here. So get a new UUID. So retrieve takes UUID as an argument. So UUID to string. We're going to create post, and what do we need to pass through both object and the user ID. So our object is this object. Our user ID is, we're just going to say for now 1 and persist. That's all we need to do. So away, we could probably move that down here. That temporary variable, and that's super clean now. So our post aggregate, we're going to retrieve based on this UUID, which means basically let's just get a new aggregate at this point. Then on the update, we'll just grab that will end up being something else. Sorry, mine started wandering then. We're going to pass through the object. We're going to pass through the user. This comes over to here. So all we need to look at projectors, I believe. So aggregates, reactors, projectors. So here we go. Events. So I'm pretty sure Laravel aggregates. So the way they've done it here is that they will domain account projectors, account projector, and they were on account created they create the account, they accept the event into projector. Cool. Just double checking that one because the docs aren't super clear on that part. So what we will do, we'll create a projector for a post projector. Namespace is domain logging projectors. And I need to go double check extends projector. Cool. I thought it would do. There we go. So what we need here is, this would be a, so looking at the event name, on post was created basically. On post was created. At this point, we accept in the post was created as an event. We don't return anything back because this is simply just an action. And then we can do get post, action, handle, and that needs to take the object, which is the event object, and that's it. When post was created, away you go. Now I'm pretty sure this is going to complain, but we're going to test it. We're going to test it. So let's create a new post. Come to here. We're going to say the new API post send accepted. Plus localhost. Let's come down to where is it? PHP Online. This one. Nope, not that one. PHP Online API. So we don't want that one. So posts not created yet. So something is not firing, basically. So what we need to look at here is, I think we need to register the projector. So we will make a provider and we'll call this an event sourcing service provider. And before we forget, we want to make sure we add that to our config. Just down here, right at the end. Sourcing service provider, class, done. Click through, let's just go through to that one. And let's make this better than what we found it. There we go. And I'm pretty sure we got to do this in the, can't remember if we do this in the boot or in the register. What did we do last time I did it? Let's look at I believe it was in here. Providers, event sourcing service provider. This was in the register. So this is what we did. Projectionist, add these. So projectionist, facade that we need this. Add projector. Hopefully, this will now do it. So, We'll create one more just so we can see. And if we look in stored events, you can see post was created, and post was created. So what we'll do at the same time is let's look at reacting to this by sending an email. So let's go set this up. This is my first time actually I bought this a while ago. I've just not got around to using it. So this is the mailer, the host, port, username, password, or encryption. And we're just going to call this one PHP Online. Job. Right. So let's create a reactor. So what we need for this is to come to blogging, reactors, and we are going to create a new. Let's have a look at reactors quickly. Writing your first reactor. How do we want to do this? We just kind of like want to send an email, really, don't we? That's what we need. So extends implements should queue. So this is basically just a queued job. And the reactor is given a name, big amount added. Okay. So we can just do something like post reactor. We'll use post reactor as a name. Domain blogging reactors. Say OK. And that. And we'll have a public function on post was created. Post was created, get the event. And I believe we don't return from that. No, we don't. We don't need to return anything. So this is where we just need to email. But obviously we need to register this, which we did before, add reactors. We'll do that again. So reactors. Post reactor in there. And that should be all I need. So send the email. Let's create a new email. Make mail. And we'll just do something like post. Now we'll just do a simple mail to user first. Email send mailable, and this is going to be a new post. It's going to accept the event object. Actually, we can do this. The author of the post is user find event user ID, and then we can just say author email send new post. object this way too. Mailable is going to be that. In the post, we can come through and we can just say post value object as object. That. Clean this one up. Nice and simple, this, isn't it? And obviously, do this way. Self, build the message, view name. Oh, this is where I need to. Okay. You say, where's that new post gone? Mail, new post. Yeah. Markdown or something? Nope. So it's markdown emails dot posts new post. Here we go, we got it. We got it in the end. Right, so I just need to drop that into there, and away we go. So we can go to that view, and we can just update it quickly to say something. Views, emails, posts, new post, new post, or something like, not new post. We don't need to say this, we can say object title. Do something really simple like, thanks for creating a new post. On our site, something silly, just for now. That's all of that. That's fine. We're reacting. Our reactor is added and registered. So, again. Ooh, cannot send message without a sender address. Perfect. So, at least we know that our reactor is actually being used from address. Hey, look, PHP Online. A new post again added. Thanks for creating a new post on our site. And we just reacted to the event. Super simple, super straightforward, and it didn't take a lot of effort. I just got a little notification. Yes, I want hello or hello, however you want to say it, to send events, notifications. That's that simple. Let's add these. Dipping our toe into event sorting. I should really make sure I publish this, shouldn't I? GitHub quickly. Let's create a new repository. I'm just going to call it PHP Online for now. That is what I've called it locally. This could just be the updated version I never got round to working on. always forget how much complexity comes with. Yeah, there's a bit of complexity when it comes to event sourcing. There's not too much though. I think some people they think it's more complicated than what it is. All we've done, if we just let me drop this link in so people can dive into the code should they wish. Coming up in the comments now, and I will just show that on the screen for anyone watching after the event. So what we've got our route, which goes to a controller. We're dispatching this to a background job. Our background job creates a new aggregate record and basically just says, okay, save this event. And what Sparsy's package under the hood will do, it will trigger this event. So it will trigger the post was created, which then, because we've registered on Projectionist the events we're listening to, it will then trigger our projector. But it'll also trigger our reactor at the same time, because both of these things are just happening in the background. So we're just going to, okay, cool. We know that was done. We can now handle this. And then our reactor is going to say, oh, cool. I just noticed that this event was fired. So I'm also just going to email the author and let them know. So if they email, the author could actually get the email before that's saved. Entirely possible. But that's all we're doing. It's a couple of extra steps. What it's given us is a nice historical view here of things that are going on. We've got these posts were created. We could even start tagging events onto, other aspects of it. So if we go to look at the package, you could look at replaying events, storing metadata, event queries, commands. So let's look at commands. Simple command, bus implementation, that's mapping, handled by. So I'm not a big fan of that personally. I can definitely see its benefit, don't get me wrong, but this isn't me. This isn't what I would do. I like it. I like that you can say command bus dispatch, add cart item. That's pretty cool. But I think it's not the way I'd write it personally. It's a very good way to write it for some certain things, but I wouldn't go that way. Then we can go for like event queries. So we can do like earnings for product and period, or we say, okay, how many posts did somebody make in this month, basically? And we could do that. We could eloquent stored event. We could say, okay, so where the created at is between these two, and that's basically just querying this table, this eloquent stored event. That's all it's doing. And then for each one, we're just going to get that and we're just going to apply it. And then at the end, we're just going to have a total amount of posts done for that period of time. That kind of simple, I suppose. So next, where can we take this? We've got a nice API endpoint, very easy to use. If we come over to our controllers quickly, we can look at index. We've got ways to include the author or the user, as it were, as we've called it, when we're paginating through them. Is obviously super useful. Then we're just going to respond with JSON. We've got a resource. We're building this up the way that we're going to want it. Then we can actually go through and show. Okay, we haven't done this one yet. So we're not looking at one yet. So let's do this one. I did not realize we didn't add this. So let's add this one quickly. So we are doing a show controller through the key. What I am going to do is look at So, okay, here we are getting a post. And we can do something like post equals query builder for subject post. Cloud includes user return new post resource, where the resource is the post. We'll grab that and we'll turn that into a response JSON. The data is that, and the status is HTTP. Okay. Keep that nice and simple. Put it down the line. So now if we come back to here, let's just run that, and we will fetch a post using a HTTP online.test API version 1 posts. With this one, we'll drop in that accept header. The property ID does not exist on this collection instance. Ooh, okay. Where is that coming from? Post resource. 500 internal server error. So we're going to get a new post resource. Post. Let's get that post resource. Let's have a look what happens if we do this. Okay, so something's playing up. Line 14. Okay, so we've got resource collection. That is not what we want, is it? It's getting all of them. Why is it getting all of them? It shouldn't have all of them. Wait a minute. That is what is going on. There we go. We got there. Something silly that went wrong. Nothing too bad. So we can get that and we can say, okay, so let's include the user. But the user, let's not include the user. And we don't include the user. We've got links to self. All good. All looking good. We've got the content down here. Description, published, whether it's published or not. Kind of simple. Simple. Right, so that's that one. Let's make sure we are all up to date. So what do we do? So git commit. I didn't really change much on the index controller, so updates and adding post show root action. Push that one up. It's good to go. So I think one way we could look at this now is we've looked at how it works through an API. We know that works. How's it going to work on the web? So if we go to PHP online.test, we've got this. So I'm just going to create a simple form on this page. So let's just rock and roll with this quickly. Our front end assets are all built. What we're going to do, we're going to go to Tailwinds Ui, because Tailwinds Ui is fantastic. If you've not used it already, but some of the e-commerce stuff is absolutely incredible. I've got, obviously I bought all 3 packs because that's just what I do. Go to a form layout. We want a specific form layout which we'll use. I can now close down those and that. So npm run dev. Let's just run that. That's going to do all of its magic, which means that now it should work. And we can come down to Tailwind config here. We're in JIT mode, and that mode is going to be done through media. So we need this running in the background. So npm run watch. Out, we won't need it anymore for JIT. And we're going to have some specific views. So we are going to start this off. So let's just work on this welcome view. A home route, that works fine. So what we want to do is come over to our resources, views, go to our dashboard, and this one. X app guest out. Make sure that is there we go, we got it. Right, so let's just grab a form that we're going to want. Let's do a nice one like this. Something like this will work. So make sure we're only grabbing the one. We're going to want that. So we are going to go make a section. I'm going to say X items center. Do that, and then we can copy this element over quickly. Let's just go see how this looks. Okay. Got a nice thing going on here. So first things first. Post and post. Perfect. So got a form and that in there for now. We don't really want that. So let's go type text. Idea that. Placeholder. That. We're going to say that is required. We're going to auto focus it. There we go. So we'll put that name over and we'll call that title. Call that title title. Give your title. Simple. We're going to duplicate this for now, just something super simple. Description. This is less about the design. Description. And then we have got the body. This body. 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 I'll just come and delete some of these other things we don't need. Cover photo. Submit. Perfect. There's that. Guest layout. Where's these layouts? Guests. Cool. If I just get rid of that. Actually compiling in the background, yeah. Yeah, this is cool. Max width. Not doing it. Never mind. So what's going on with this? Why is this so shrunk? Probably something to do with some of the styling, I'm assuming. But never mind. That's not why we're doing it. So title. That doesn't do anything. So now we can go and create the route for this, just like we would do usually, and serving out API routes. You know, typically this would be protected by auth, but for the purpose of this, I'm not going to worry too much. Oh, did I forget to change that? Aha, thank you. Title, ta-da! Right, so this is where we'll go. Effects, hosts, as hosts. And we're going to group, and then within this group, a host request, // and we'll call this store, just like we would on the API. Beforehand, we will say artisan make controller web hosts store controller, and we will make a invocable one. HTTP controllers web hosts. And nice and clean. We hit here. We can then go, we can pretty much just reuse our store request. Validated. So what we do is posts store. There we go. Validated. So I'm not going to worry about validation rules on the UI right now because that's not the purpose of this. This is more about the practical applications. So what we could quite easily do here is much like we did on the API. To start with, we validated, so we could go ahead and inline create this. So we can say post equals post create test validated, return correct, and value, that's fine right now. Cool, slug is not picking it up. Just fine, because we're about to change that anyway. What we will do is in our model here, we've got has key and we've got has slug. So we are going to create a new specific concern for ourselves. Just create a new crate. We're going to call it post add a new namespace. I mean, naming conventions are completely up to you at this point. Domain blogging, models, concerns. Do a public static function boot is post, and then return, and then static creating function. This is where we'd accept model. So we can say that the model key is key. Instead, we will just grab that again. Post that. That will also set the slug to be title. That's it. So we can come back to post, we can drop those, and we'll just do a is post We don't have a key anymore, and we don't have a slug. We just have it all under one roof. User ID, that's fine. Store controller. So for now, we're just going to that's adding no benefit for now. So let's array merge for now, and we're just going to drop that in there. Merge that array and that array. Complaining, I think. So go to posts, truncate. Post description and a post body. Save. We're back here. Got one. So that's simple. That works, and we're doing it with a long way around compared to how we did it in the API. So this is where we need to look at. Okay, let's follow suit. Now, with the API, it's important to return really early as you can, because it's an API. With this, you don't have to. So if we look at what we were doing in that background job of create post, we can do something similar. So the object is going to be no, not that one. Create. The data, I believe. Yep. No attributes. Just give me that. There's a post. Got that now. Now we're pushing that somewhere else. So event source post. Save. And I just got an email. Event source post was added. Event source post was added. And it is that simple. And all we had to do was pull in that post aggregate, create a new UID, and away we go. Super simple, super clean, not very complicated. You put the effort in once, and it's very easy to just inherit it where you need to. Yeah, occasionally you've got to do things slightly differently, but most of that code's already there. And this is going to return a redirect response. Awesome post, and I got an email. Awesome post added. It's super simple. Event sourcing is easier than you think. Don't forget that. It sounds super complicated, but it's really not. Where could we take it from here? Yeah, we could push this to a background job, just like we did on the API. And there's no harm in doing it that way. There's nothing stopping you. If you want to go that route. You know, let's just do it. So do it that way. Stop that. Stop that. Take me in a job. And it's created an email, and there it is. It's it's super simple. We can do very much the same sort of thing. And where can we go from here? Is there anything anyone would like to see in particular with these clean Laravel style? Where could I refactor? What things could I do? So I could start looking at infrastructure, start abstracting things, and I can start doing my own bits of code that I want to be doing. Here, do composer update. And away we go, done. So let's go into here and let's go to HTTP. Responses, factor, and we could create a new API response that is in infrastructure HTTP responses. Add that, and what we're going to want is public static function handle, return a JSON response, return a JSON response. And what this is going to take here is the data that we're going to pass in. The status is the status we pass in, or okay. Any specific headers? Yep, I could probably do something like static headers. And that's it. So let's say we've got data. We'll double check what the type is for data shortly. I think this is most likely going to be an array. Then with status, we'll have int status, but this could be available int, and we're going to default to that. And then we can have an array for headers. Empty array by default, which means we could do something like an array merge. I'm looking at array merge and this could be content type is application pnd.api plus JSON, and this works. So now we can come over to, let's just go for our index controller. Instead of doing this, we could return API response handle where the data is going to be that. And the status is HTTP. Just say OK for now, and that's all we want. Except data. Okay, so I'm not going to force that to be an array. So we've got our end specific response now. So if we just go to Insomnia, even if we go to the web browser, we can go to line test API v1 posts. Still getting that back. If we inspect, we can come to the network, refresh it again, have a look at these, response, headers. We've got X awesome yo coming through, we've got the content type coming through, and things are looking good. That's all working perfectly. So we've now updated how we want to handle API responses because we want set things on our own terms. That's fine. So let's, that's all that. What else could we potentially do here? Request validation, maybe? We could look to how we could do that, but I don't think that's going to add any benefit, and I wouldn't class it as clean Laravel. We've done some event sourcing. Let's just commit all of this. If anyone's got any ideas, shout out now if you'd like to see anything in particular. Speak now or forever hold your peace. So what else can we add to this? That's a nice way to do that. And then anything within here, we've got shared stuff, not super important right now. We're going to focus on other stuff later. Factories, can't do much with that. Jobs, they're pretty fine models. Builders, concerns. I suppose we could come through and start to look at custom collections. We could create a post collection. And then this is a really simple way to extend the eloquent collection. Our post model down here, right at the bottom. New collection. Instead of returning that, we can return a new post collection. The items, models. This is going to return this collection. Nice and simple, that's all done. Glad you enjoyed the event sourcing part. Is there any other parts to it that maybe I could go through? Anything to do with event sourcing that maybe I could explain more? Let's go look at the docs. Is there anything that could be useful? Have a look. So, event queries is definitely an interesting one. So, to do this, you kind of need the sparsity period. So I'm just going to install that quickly. Composer require. Let's install that. So blogging. These are more reports. So if I just come over and create reports. And we'll just create a simple post created over periods. And this is in the domain logging ports. This needs to extend event query. And then we can just do the construct. So we can focus how to outsource to output event sourcing data. Exactly the same. It depends what you want to see. Let's go quickly add a private. We'll follow suit with this. Period. I may just call it period. That's cool. And products is a collection. I don't need a second argument. So first step in implement is determine which event should be applied. This is done by querying the events table and applying every retrieved event. So event store. Let's just get a walk through it. That written but not read, that's fine. So we're going to query event I take the argument of event classes. And we're going to say post was created class. Then we're just going to do like I may as well copy this part here. Date. The column is that, and the operator is that. Value. This again. Column. Value. And then what this will do is for each one, I'm going to run a callback, which is a function which accepts the event again. And we'll just do this apply event to stored event. That's it. That's all you need for that part. There's a library supports some kind of event class mapping. As far as I know, no, it doesn't right now. That's missing that. There's that query, and then you're applying. And the next step is build internal state based on given events. So what we'd do is have like it's created, we'd have a something similar, very similar to this. So total posts. And then we'll have like the apply. That is for order created, yep. So this is where we're going to say, this is where we're applying stuff. So apply post was created. That's not important. Total price for order. Price. Okay, so this total posts is going to be bloody one for each one, basically. Do technical there. Finally, choose a query. Yeah, that's like this. Posts and report. Here would make this. So we're just going to create a random endpoint maybe up here. Root at test. Is period report total price is total posts. If I come back to here and we just go to test, period get start doesn't exist. So it's complaining already. Damn you. And what's it getting in? Period. At this point, let's just find dump. Period. Let's just start and end. So if we go back to our, yeah, I did notice that stored events. So let's just say here, start then, and then see what this does. See if it actually manages it. It's collecting them all. So it is focusing mostly on the date. So I think period only works with dates, not times. It's fine. You could extend this into the using period. You could use an actual date function. So I could, let's go through and change this to like 24. Less. Okay, so we're getting less data, and it's just one simple query. This is how we build it is slightly differently. I mean, you could do this completely differently, and you could just do like using a DB facade. But event queries are sometimes a little bit nicer. What else can we add to this? So, how to output event sourcing data. So, you don't really want to be outsourcing the data. It's not why you're using it. You'd be doing things like these reports. That is kind of the power you're getting there, these reports. You know, how many posts was created within a period of days? Very simple one for this. If this was a a job portal or a jobs board, how many job applications were there in the last 20 days, the last 30 days, given a metric, give me some figures, and then you can start working with that data, or you could, run this through the like create a command, and you just like generate a report and email it, and away you go. That's kind of what I would say you'd need it for. What other aspects of event sourcing could we potentially cover here? We've done event queries, we've done aggregates, event model storage, no, event storage repository, using an event serializer, aliases for stored. So here we go. I think this might answer your question, Mohammed. So event class map. So let's in event sourcing PHP, you can add your map. So let's see this in action. So just come down to config. Let's come down to event sourcing. Reactors. So we can actually add them in here instead of in the service provider, which might be a nicer way to do it. So event class map. So post created, post was created, class. So if we go have a look at the database quickly for the stored events, created. If I, is it under event sourcing? Yeah. If I replay these events, is it going to store the names differently? Yes, it does support snapshots. Domain volume of a post factory not found, and that is in database Cedar. Let's go fix that quickly. Post factory. Okay, so the post factory down on the model is getting confused. Let's try the user factory instead of creating some of those. User factory. Okay, so we could just do a user create for now, and we'll just use password. Make password. Now, so let's say we number of posts per user. Yeah. I mean, if I had more data to work with, I could probably do something like this. Let me just go and, like, currently there's none. So post and here, test, post, done. Test, date period. Okay, so post created. So any downside with this is on our report, we are looking at this event class here, but now what we need to do is swap it for that. So it will break your reports if you use that map. Let's come back to here and let's delete that map, and let's have a look what happens if I event sourcing replay. So, stored events, invalid stored event. So duplicate entries. It's trying to create it again. Okay, so that is because I'm trying to replay the events and the post is created. So if I truncate this quickly, save it, and all done. So now my post is back. That's fine, just as expected. But I don't really want this map. I don't mind that class name in there myself. A great question seed. So a event sourcing. I'm not sure if it supports snapshots, you know. I don't think so. Let's have a look. Snapshots. No, it does. It just doesn't have any retrieve snapshot. So you can create a new snapshot by calling the snapshot method. So snapshots are a way to reduce the amount of events you need to fetch and apply when instantiating your aggregate. Cool. Customizing the stored snapshot state. Use state. So yeah, it does support it. If I just come back and another one. Let's create that as well. So we've got two. So we've got different aggregates at the moment. So what you could do is create specific aggregates for, you know, your post was created and you could kind of snapshot on that basis. Or you could look at how you want to work on these. So one example would be updating. Perhaps when I'm updating, I want to use I'd want to maybe set a UID on the post. So we'll do it that way. So let's have a look at doing that as well. Let's do a quick update to some of this. Posts. And okay, so we're going to have a table UID. Fine. Now we can come back down to our model. We're going to update our model quickly. Let's just add UID on there. Is post. We can set the model UID to be string. Okay, that's got that. That's got that. The only thing we'd then need to do, hey Bernard, is in our factories. When we're creating all of this, that's all fine. We're not going to have a UUID attached to it. That needs to, so UUID is going to be this. So let's say you want the aggregate to attach to or relate to the post. At this point, you can say post record that. Get the UID from there. And then we could say that the public string UID is there. And then when we're projecting, we can get this. Create post handle. We're going to pass that event through. We're going to get the object, array merge object to an array. And we're also going to want to merge in the UID to be just going to get that, and maybe we'll just passive the UID this way. So and here, so string UID. We do all that. If this works. So now our posts have a UID ending in 7F8, and that is not matching up, is it? Well, that was the aim. it didn't work, but that was the aim. Aggregate root ID. Event version. Event properties. That is a bit ugly. I would maybe look to fix that as well. You can do event versioning, but I'm not sure how you do that. It doesn't say anything in the docs. Okay, that's we'll call it a day with that stuff. And let's say next we wanted to look at updating. So we could quite simply jump in a public function update post value object, and in the job on the updating, we've got the ID. So that's probably what we'd capture in here. Int post ID. And then this record that the domain event for new post was updated. And what we'd pass into that one. Nice, here we go. What we're going to pass through to that one is the object as the object and the post ID as post ID. Here, and updating, I'd come to this and say new class should be stored. Perfect. Add that, simplify it, and then we can just add our constructor. Here we'll have a public post value object as the object, and we would have a public integer for the post ID, which maps up nicely. Supposed to persist it. Post was updated. There's the aggregate, and then we'd want in the projector public function on post was updated. Post was updated. Then we have get post action handle whether object is the event object. The post is the find the event post ID. Done. So if I come back to Insomnia, and let's say we are going to update a post, so let's just get all of them, and let's just update that, send it, accepted, stored events. It's not storing. Oh wait, I know why it's not storing. My bad. Okay, so now on the API, HTTP, controllers, API. So let's just get the store. Click post dispatch. Okay, so this is where we're doing that. So API posts update. So on this job here, you would want to get the import the post first. And retrieve aggregate by the post UUID. And we are going to say update post, where the object is subject and the post ID is post A. Now let's look at Insomnia. Now it's storing. So post was updated, done. Simple-ish. A little bit of a mess around. Not the most fun thing to do, I suppose. It's not. So here you go. F8 is now being attached to the post by UUID. So basically, what was happening with the aggregate down here is we need to create a UUID and follow that through. So that isn't being picked up, so it's dropping off early. So we could fix that quite easily by adding the UUID in separate places. So, for example, create post, UUID. Perfect. So now I can come here and go string UUID, UUID, feed. Ooh. That is on the create post line 38. Updated. So AE. That's just coming up with a completely random one. So that must be happening in the background and have nothing to do with it, which isn't something you can do much of, I don't think. But definitely something to look at. If I just pass this back to this UUID, we'll just drop that. And we will replace that. And come over to post aggregate, UUID there. UUID, post was created. So on the projector, we're getting the event. Here the aggregate UUID. So handle UUID, going to save that based on what's passed in. Let's test that one more time. You see, okay, so it's got aggregate UID of this C3, and C3 is matching. So it's not the aggregate UID you want, it's a different UID. It's something, but that'll do for now. I am happy with that for now as it is. It's almost 2 hours streaming. I think that's pretty good. We've done some event sourcing, we've done some refactoring, we've improved on things, we've shown how we can easily add event sourcing to an application. We can clean up parts of the architecture quite easily, and we're creating this really reusable piece of code. You know, our actions are doing the job of creating things that we can test. We can write unit tests for that really easily. We can test creating one of these. We can test creating a post. We can test that this works. We can test that this runs and that the post aggregate is ran. We can test our aggregate. We can test each class has got a single responsibility. The post aggregate, okay, it's got multiple responsibilities. It's got, you know, creating posts and updating posts, but that is to be expected. Even our projectors can be tested. Everything has got a job, and everything can be tested really nicely. And next week, I'm speaking to Luke Downing again to see if he would like to join me in doing some pest testing with some of this, which could be really interesting, I think. Add all of that, and then we're going to commit and say refactoring and whip, because I can't remember what I did. I did just stuff. Stuff is a bad thing to put in a git commit message. But yeah, that is looking good. I think we're going to call it a day with that. Any questions, you know where to find me on Twitter. Keep an eye out for my next stream, which should be Tuesday. If you're not sure where to go, feel free to check out Lara Streamers. I always add my streams to Lara Streamers because it's a really great community resource. Check that out. They're really cool. They've got some really good ones coming up. Beer and Code, I'm not too sure who that is. But we've got, obviously, the cool kids doing their online summer party, the pre and after party. Go check that out. If you're interested in anything else that I've done, check out my website. I've got loads of articles. All of my links typically go up onto my website. I need to update it, so it's got these, and you can actually go and watch it if you want to, straight from my website. You don't have to come to YouTube. Got all of my packages that I've built, and articles, of course. So, you know, if you want to look at how I work with third-party services before I created Laravel Transporter, this will tell you all about it. And this is obviously using Torchlight under the hood, which is absolutely fantastic way to do syntax highlighting. So make sure, if you haven't seen it, go check out torchlight.dev. Syntax highlighting is an awesome way. Check it out. If I don't see you on Twitter, I will see you next week. Thank you very much.